let me hit with this comment that somebody posted here on Twitter when I shared the uh, topic for tonight's show. And we're going to be doing some Q&A as well. Moff's in the green room. He's going to be making sure you guys are squared away and your audio is good. I'll drop the link to join in a little bit. But one of the fellows on Twitter said, Ross was his name. He said, if guys didn't use money to impress girls, they wouldn't have such a problem. If you want to avoid gold diggers, then stop showing them where to dig. And in theory, that is a good idea. But look, maybe if you're a younger guy, I could see a little more care being used in the way you go about life. But look, I mean, when you've made it, when you've done something with your life, when you've gone somewhere, you're not going to buy a crappy car if you're a car guy just to have a crappy car because you're afraid of gold diggers and you're trying to hide it. She's going to find out eventually anyway. She's going to know if you're made of more than just, a Toyota Camry. It's going to become evident. It should be. And I don't think that you should have to hide it, to be honest with you. I think that dealing with the right kind of chick and setting the right kind of boundaries is the better way to go about it. But hiding your stuff from women. I remember I watched this dating show once. It was one of those like millionaire match shows. And there was this guy that owned a junk company. And, this matchmaker sets up the couples with, successful men with beautiful, young, attractive women sort of thing. That's a matchmaker service. And he was all about, I don't want to flaunt my wealth. And he did quite well. He owned a junk removal company. And on his first date, because he didn't want to pull up in his nice car or his exotic car, he had a few cars, he decided to take one of the junk removal garbage trucks on the first date. And the matchmaker, of course, said, what are you, stupid? Right? Like, what are you doing? So people go a little bit too far with this, trying to hide or to dissolve or to make it a little more downplayed. And I don't think that's a good strategy. And I'll explain why in this, when we do this segment. And by the way, guys, if there's something you want to challenge me on this show, you don't agree with me, you have a better solution, you can click the join link and you can hop in, and I'd love to hear what it is. It's always fun to deal with more than just agreeable people, from my perspective anyway. So I've got a few notes here that I want to cover. I'm not really sure which one I'm going to start with, so I'm just going to rip through them. I think the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you're not leading with your wallet when it comes to dealing with women when you're dating. So if the question becomes, how do you protect your wealth from gold diggers? You should probably not lead with your wealth, right? Don't be one of these like sugar dad dudes. Don't, hey, I'll take care of your allowance. Let me pay you stuff, whatever. Any of those things. You're basically starting from a position where you're beta bucks, which kind of brings me to another point as well that I need to cover. There's, generally speaking, there's two types of guys that women look for or date. They would ideally like them both in one guy, but it's not always possible. So it's why they have like this dualistic mating strategy, this dating, the sexual strategy, whatever you want to call it. And there's the alpha seed component, and then there's the beta need component, the beta bucks part of the equation. So the guy that's been incarcerated, in jail for 4 or 5 years, doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, maybe has a old 20-year-old motorcycle, a Harley or something like that. He has no trouble getting girls. He has no trouble getting laid. He has no trouble getting the attention of women because he's the bad boy alpha archetype, right? They're not using him for his financial resources. There's probably another guy that they're using for his financial resources. That's the alpha, and then there's the beta. I was just watching, before I hopped on the show, a documentary series on Anna Nicole Smith. If you don't know who she is, she was a very attractive Playboy playmate from, I think she ended at 97 or 87. It was well over 20 years ago. But she basically met this billionaire oil tycoon guy in Texas, older dude, well into his 80s. Who had lost his wife, and she was working in a strip joint at that time. And he took care of her, bought her a house, looked after her kid, bought her horses, cars, all kinds of stuff. And she then said to him, when he asked her to marry him, she said, I don't want to because I want to make something of myself first. So she started running around, and she had beta bucks as the backup. Okay. She met this guy when she was quite young. And from what I understand, I haven't watched the rest of it, but I'm pretty sure she married the guy later on in life because she died around 39. But she made something out of herself running around. She was the guest girl. She did Playboy spreads. She did a couple of movies, dated athletes, actors, businessmen, like anybody that was the alpha seed part of the equation, because she eventually did fall back on Beta Bucks, which is the billionaire oil tycoon guy who's the old man. There's a funny picture here. Let me see if I can dig it up here. There's a really funny picture of them. I think it's on their wedding day. Let's go. There it is. Wedding day. So he was 89. Present, share screen. Okay, this dude over here, he's just Beta Bucks all day long. He was 89 at the time. Anyway, that's what that looks like. So leading with your wallet is going to get you in a scenario where you're this dude. Now, I'm not really sure what happened at the end of the story. I haven't watched the rest of it. Maybe she inherited his wealth. Maybe her kid did. I have no idea. But you have to understand that notion, because if you don't have any money and you're the alpha seed part of the equation, you don't have any money to protect. You don't have any wealth to protect. It doesn't really matter. So there's that to consider. But do not lead with your wallet. If you lead with your wallet in the equation, you're going to end up like this J. Howard Marshall dude who gave away probably pretty much everything to her and the kid and the breakup, or when she passed. So don't lead with a wallet. We talked about alpha seed, beta need. Don't live in a way that looks like marriage to the state. Very simple. If you're in a long-term relationship and you want to protect your wealth and you don't want to have to deal with any consequences down the road, look, any professional that I talk to, and I have this, I have these questions that, that I generally have with licensed professionals that I deal with. So I obviously deal with lawyers. I have a family lawyer. I have corporate lawyers. I had lunch today with my accountant, and one of the topics that always comes up is marriage. And it was tabled, do you see any point in marriage later on in life? And the answer is always no. Every single licensed professional out there that deals with finances, that deals with the law, that deals with accounting, they're like, no. So one of the simple solutions that all of these people basically have in their mind is just don't live in a way that looks like marriage to the state, and you're completely fine, right? What does that look like where you live? I don't know. Check with family law. If you're going about your business, you're working, you've got some cash coming in, maybe you've got some investments, you got some money. It wouldn't be a bad idea if you're out dating and you're getting serious with somebody to talk to a family lawyer and go, all right, well, what does the law say in my state when it comes to assets and wealth? Because if you don't know this already, I'm not even going to pull up the list because I can just talk about it. But the richest people in the world, of all of the folks that are listed on that billionaire list, all the women that are on the list, I think with the exception of one, which was a business tycoon, but all the women on that list that ended up on that list ended up there either through inheritance, through their father, or through divorce. Mackenzie Bezos was recently divorced from Jeff Bezos a few years ago, and I believe she got 38 billion in stock, if I'm not mistaken. She ended up getting married with one of her kids' private school teachers. I think it was a chemistry teacher or something like that. And she's got her wealth from Jeff Bezos now, from the Amazon pot. She keeps 38 billion, gets married to this guy. That doesn't work out. She leaves. She still keeps the 38 billion because she knows how to get the money and she knows how to keep the money. So all you have to do is take some intentional steps and take a look around when you're dealing with romance and women and stuff like that. And yeah, I know, guys, it takes the wind out of the sails. It's so unromantic, blah, blah, blah. Look, if you don't like it, and I'm probably talking to the ladies at this point, but if you don't like it, get the gals together, go down on Parliament Hill, whoever it is that makes these laws, the bureaucrats where you live, and tell them, we don't like these laws. They suck. My boyfriend won't live with me because family law is going to take half his shit and give it to me if I want to take it. But they'll never change that. The girls will not march on Capitol Hill. They won't do anything to change the laws because why would they? It's to their benefit for them to exist. So what smart guys do is they just, all right, I'm just not going to live in a way that looks like marriage, right? So talk to a family lawyer about that. That's a safe test. There's, of course, guys right now going to be in the comments just stay away from women. Okay, that's one solution. It's not realistic when half the population is women and guys like women, and men and women are generally speaking better together than they are apart. You just have to be discerning in your taste and who you invite in your life and all these things. Which brings me to another thing when it comes to discerning taste is the red flag chapter. I wrote this book. If you guys are newer to the channel, this is what the podcast is based on. Okay, the Unplugged Alpha book. I'm currently working on the second book. It'll be out later on this year, towards the end of the year. There's a chapter in the book called 20 Red Flags. I'll put the ticker up on the bottom for those of you that are newer to the channel. Get on my email list. I don't even care if you don't buy the book. Get on my email list and get the book for free there. The more I talk to guys on consults, okay, the more I realize the significance and the importance of vetting for red flags. You can invite women into your life with these 20 red flags. I've added a 21st red flag, which will be in the revised version of the book, which I'll talk about another time. But these 20 red flags that are currently existing in it are extremely important. And you can overlook them. You can ignore them. You can invite a woman into your life that has them. You can put a baby in her. You can get married. You can live together. And maybe things will work out. Maybe. But on a balance of probabilities, if I was a gambling man and I could bet on that relationship failing, it probably will. And it'll probably fail sooner than later. And if it doesn't, it'll at least be miserable for one or both of them at the same time. This red flag chapter is so important, and the significance of it matters so much when it comes to dealing with women. I can't even emphasize it. Every time I have a consult with somebody privately, every time I do, I'm always diving into this, and we're going back in it. We're going back and forth, and we're chopping up. Sometimes I have longer term coaching clients. Sometimes it's a one-off call. But every time there's problems in that relationship, there's always red flags that pop up. Now, if you've got money issues, you're dealing with a woman that's, promiscuous, for example. She's been with 50, 100 dudes or something like that. Do you think she's going to stick to you if there's conflict later on down the road, after she's living in your house, she's moved her shit in? Maybe you guys said I do together, you took a honeymoon, and she's been with all these dudes and something doesn't work out. Do you think she's going to stick around? The probabilities of that happening are pretty low. The probabilities of her, maybe picking up her phone and start dialing some other dudes, dialing for dick off her phone, is a lot higher because she's already done it, 98 times, 99 times, 100 times, doesn't matter what it is. It's already been done. So it's very easy, very, very comfortable for them. And that's, we're talking about a lot of other stuff than just women that have misbehaved in their past or have promiscuous past, right? So without me getting into the entire chapter, vet against the red flags, and don't do it over a short period of time. Don't just be like, oh, okay, well, I was with her for 10 months, so I'm pretty sure that I figured her out. The rule of thumb, and this is not my rule of thumb, this is a rule of thumb that was given to me by a psychologist. Do I have his book over here? Tactical Guide to Women, Sean T. Smith. He said, see what they're made of. Date them for a year and a half, 2 years, because you end up with a representative most of the time. You end up with an actor, and you don't know who the real person is. Wait till you get sick. Does she take care of you? Or does she just leave you be? Deal with it. Man cold, pussy, right? Or does she take care of you? Does she expose her own immune system to risk of getting sick as well to take care of you, right? How does she handle when the luggage gets lost if you travel somewhere together? Does she have a complete meltdown and a spaz and wants you to sue the airline and yell at people? Or does she say, let's just go take a cab to the store and get a couple of bathing suits and some stuff to tie us over until we get back and they find it or it shows up, right? It's important to give it time. So get on my email list if you're not on it. Get the red flag chapter if you haven't got it, or read the book, which is an even better way to approach this, because some of the other stuff that I'm talking about here also deals with components around dealing with the struggles that comes, with the red flags and what genuine burning desire looks like. So I'll move on from the red flag so I can keep this thing going. I'll try to get to the bottom of my list in the next 10 minutes or so we can take some call-ins. Anyway, speaking of call-ins, guys, I'll grab the join link for you guys and just drop it in the chat right here on YouTube. Call in and ask me a Q. And StreamYard link, you'll get Moff in the green room, and he'll make sure your audio is all good and you're good to go. So I'm going to pin that at the top of the YouTube channel. So head over there if you're not watching that from that angle. Let's talk about genuine burning desire. All women want to be with a competent man that can make it rain. Okay. So the argument that there's no gold diggers doesn't exist. You can call them whatever you want, but women want to be with a competent man. They want to be with a giant they want to look up to. They don't want to be with a wimp. They don't want to be with a guy that can't solve basic things in your lives, in your household. A guy that has to call, his dad, or she has to call her dad to solve every little problem. They don't like that kind of stuff. She has to have a genuine, organic, burning desire for you, just to want you, just to physically want, just to desire you. Okay. If that is absent and all you're doing is you're leading with your wallet, of course you're going to attract gold diggers. Okay. The woman that has genuine burning desire for the guy is still interested in his financial resources, but the genuine burning desire that she has for him is because she looks up to him. She sees him as a champ. She sees him as a strong option, or maybe even her best option. Genuine burning desire is very, very hard to ignore. It's obvious. It's as obvious as taking a frying pan to the forehead, as they say. Okay. People will sometimes say to me, Rich, what does genuine burning desire look like? How do I know that she's got it for me? Right. Simple tests. If you want to test, you can test if you want. Simple tests might be something like, hey, before you head over tonight, do me a solid, head over to the liquor store and get me that bottle of whatever that I like. Okay, no problem. You want the 40 ouncer or do you want the 20 ouncer? That's a strong response. That's a woman that's got interest in you. She wants to make you happy. She wants to please you. If she's like, I don't buy no shit for no man, she doesn't have genuine burning desire for you. Right? I'm not paying for stuff. She doesn't have genuine burning desire for it. A buddy of mine told me about this coffee test one time. I'll recap it. It's in one of my older videos. And he ran across it by accident because he accidentally forgot his wallet when they were out, and he wanted to get a coffee. And here in Canada, we've got Tim Hortons everywhere. If you're not familiar with Canada, it's called Timmy's. And said to his girl, he said, do me a solid. Can we just go through the drive-thru? I want to grab this, this medium coffee. Just grab me a double. I forgot my wallet. She had a freaking meltdown, a legitimate meltdown on him because he didn't have his wallet on him, and a $1.50 or whatever would have cost him at the time. She had a serious meltdown over the whole thing. Now, a smart guy would have just walked away from that relationship and said, whoa, look, thought in his head, look, I've taken you out to dinner. We've had a good time. You were on my boat the other day, sort of thing. The dumb guy would just proceed with the relationship and take the beating, right? A woman that's got genuine burning desire for you, but whatever, $1.50, who cares? What do you want? You want whipped cream on it? You want some peppermint too? No problem. I'll get it for you. You want me to shake my bum while I walk away? She'll do that too, right? That's what a woman will do when she digs your vibe that much. Okay. Genuine burning desire must exist. If you're not familiar, I think that's chapter 3 in my book. You should recap it. The rules is chapter 2. And why genuine burning desire matters, number 3. There's actually a video on my channel. If you go back to the Entrepreneurs and Cars channel, just type in why genuine burning desire matters, and you'll probably get it. It's a very, very old video. It's an early one from about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's why it ended up in the book. I expanded on the concept in the book for you guys as well, just so you understand it. What else can we talk about? Don't get married. Let's talk about married. Look, if you want to raise a family, it's far better to do it in a 2-parent household. Whether you get married or not is your choice. Doesn't matter to me. I don't really care. I'm not a big fan of inviting the state into my life. You guys know that I'm a libertarian. I don't want them in my pocketbook. I don't want them in my bank account. I don't want them telling me what to do. And the truth of the matter is, you have responsibility and authority, and those things should be connected in a household when you're building a family and a life together, sort of thing. But today, in most Western provinces and states, you still have responsibility, but you've lost the authority. When family law gets involved, they get to tell you what to do. And guys don't really understand the significance of it until they've been through the divorce grinder, or they know somebody close to them, a brother, a sibling, a cousin, very good friend that's been through the divorce grinder, that can offer some feedback and some ideas around it. But a very simple, solution is just don't get married. If you do, because it's part of your cultural belief system, family insists on it, fine. If you're in a far better position than she is, which exists some of the time, maybe it's most of the time, some guys would argue, but if you're in a far better financial position, meaning let's just say you're worth $5 million and she's worth a couple $100,000, it's a smart idea to get a prenup. Oh, that's unromantic. You're basically setting up the marriage for, for divorce. You don't trust her. Oh, what, you don't trust me, sort of thing. It takes the wind out of the sails, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it does. Sure, it does. Absolutely. But again, I don't see women getting together and marching on Capitol Hill saying that our men won't marry us because family law could potentially rob them of their wealth and their access to their kids and be alienated and all the potential problems that come on later on down the road. So if you're going to get married and you're in a far better position, get a prenup. If you're not, it doesn't matter. It's not relevant, right? They lose value over time. So you guys met at university, you go to law school, you both become lawyers at respective different law firms, you're making about the same money. You probably don't need a prenup because you're making about the same money. You've probably got about the same assets, right? It's not necessary. It's a protective mechanism is all that it is. Those would be the main ones that I would encourage you guys to contemplate. I've just spent about 22 minutes going through all those. I think they're pretty clear at this stage. And for the guys that run away from women, oh, they're all evil or they're difficult or it's impossible in the West, I call bullshit on that. I'm obviously a little more seasoned than some of you guys watching this tonight. Been in a long-term relationship with my gal. She's great. We get along really, really well, like 99% of the time. Obviously, nothing's perfect, obviously. But setting certain boundaries, following certain guidelines, vetting women for red flags, not inviting crazy into your life. I had a conversation recently last week, and I think it's important to note this before we switch to the call-in segment, is don't ever confuse crazy and love. Because a lot of the times crazy can look like love when it comes to how you interact with women. If she's doing offside stuff, if she's got a lot of red flags, but at the same time, she's like taking care of you when you're sick, love bombing you, messaging you all day, doing all the crazy stuff in the bedroom sort of thing. Don't confuse crazy for love. Again, watch for a good year and a half to see what she's made of, see how she deals with stress, what happens if the luggage gets lost when you travel, stuff like that. That's when you'll see the real person. So you have to be very, very careful because a lot of times for some guys, if they're not good at being very clear with red flags and setting strong boundaries, is crazy can look like love. So just be careful with that. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here and pin down below in the top comment. You'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.